Hello and welcome to Animal Camp. Today I'm Claire from Lion Learners East Anglia, and with me to help us talk about herbivores are the lovely guinea pigs in front of me here. There's Ada, she's the ginger one out in front here. This one behind her is Iris, and at the back here is Ethel, and these girls are all sisters. You can see them running around here, snuffling in the hay. Can you hear them? So as guinea pigs, Ada, Iris and Ethel are all what we call herbivores. Now, does anyone know what a herbivore is? It is a plant eater. Well done if you got that right. Herbivores only eat plants. And you will see the girls here chomping away on some dandelion leaves. That's Ada there. And you will see Ethel munching away on some hay. Now, herbivores come in all shapes and sizes. You can get smaller ones like these girls. You can get really small ones like tiny beetles. You can also get absolutely huge ones. In fact, the largest animal on land is a herbivore. Do you know what it is? It's an elephant. Well done if you got that right. And you can find herbivores across most of the animal groups that you learnt about last week. These girls are mammals. You get herbivores as mammals, you get them as birds, things like ducks and geese and toucans are herbivores. In the fish world, if anyone's seen Finding Nemo or Finding Dory, Dory is what we call a blue tang, and they're herbivores. And you might have heard of a comb-toothed blenny if you've watched any of the octonauts. They are also herbivores. In fact, most of the groups, you also get them in reptiles and invertebrates, and we're going to meet a herbivore from those groups a little bit later. The only group you don't really get many herbivores is amphibians. They're mainly carnivorous, and you're going to learn about carnivores tomorrow. But right now we're going to focus on mammals with the help of these guys. So when we say something's a plant eater, we mean it eats lots of different types of plants. And it's not just the kind of fruit and veg that we would eat. It's everything from hay, grass, trees, leaves, bark, shrubs, berries, and also algae in the sea, because you also get aquatic herbivores. Can you hear them talking to each other? I'm going to throw in a bit more food for them. Here we go. Oh, so these girls here, they love grass and hay. That's the best thing for them. We'd call them grazers, because they love to graze on grass. I like to call them munch machines because they never stop eating. In fact, guinea pigs are active about 20 hours a day, and most of that is spent munching. They also like different vegetables. You see I've got some carrot, there's some kale, and there's some pepper. Also got some dandelion leaves in there, which is also very good for them. So you'll have to excuse my camera work. Normally my husband does my camera work for me today, but he's working. And I'm not quite as good as him. I think I just have my finger over the camera, so I apologise for that. Right, I'm going to go in a bit closer because I'm hoping you can hear them eating. Can you hear them munching? Lovely chomping sound. Now, herbivores have got teeth that's quite different from a carnivore. They haven't got the sharp, razor-sharp teeth of a carnivore. What they've got is wide, flat teeth. And that really helps them grind up their food. And if we add a bit more food, you might be able to hear the grinding up. It's a bit like the big teeth that you have in the back of your mouth. If you feel with your tongue, you've got some lovely big teeth in the back of your mouth. And they're the kind of grinding teeth that herbivore mammals use to eat their food. They also have at the front, most mammals anyway, will have what we call incisors, and they're longer teeth at the front. You may have seen them in animals like rabbits, which can get quite long. And there's one animal that has huge incisors, but you probably know it as a different name. Can you think what it might be? It's a really big animal, and in fact it's one that we mentioned earlier. It is an elephant. If you look here at the picture of the elephant, those beautiful tusks are actually teeth. There it's incisors. And incisors on most animals, other than the elephant here, are used for tearing plants, tearing off the food for them to eat, the leaves. But obviously for elephants, they're far too big for that. They're huge, and they're mainly used for fighting or for digging or foraging. And they can also be used for pulling a bark of trees, which they will then eat. So the guinea pigs here are native to South America, and they would live in the foothills of a mountain range called the Andes. And they would live in what they call the grassy plains, and it's lovely long grass. And the guinea pigs love that long grass. Not only can they eat it, they can use it to hide in. You can see they're not built for digging, they've only got short legs. So they don't dig burrows, but they need long grass to hide in. And these guys, oh, very, very social. They always live in herds, and when you have them in pets, you always need more than one. You always need at least two, because they love each other's company. Because what they eat is plant-based, it doesn't have a huge amount of protein in it. Plants don't have as much protein as meat, and it's protein that gives us energy. So because of that, herbivores have to eat a lot, which is why these guys are constantly munching and grazing. You can imagine how much an elephant needs to eat with the size they are. So Ada, Iris and Ethel are not even 1 year old yet. And they have a bit of a pecking order. Ada, the one over here in the corner, is the top guinea pig. She likes to boss the other two around. She does boss her sisters around sometimes. Though Ethel is trying to kind of sneak in and take over the top spot. You will hear them constantly talking to each other. They do this in the wild as well. When they live together in groups, they can look out for one another. They can listen out for predators, either coming from above or the ground. They can watch out for them, and they can alert and tell each other. So these guys are really sociable. They do love to talk to each other. I don't know if you can think of any other examples of mammal herbivores. Can you think of any? There's a few on the farm. Cows and sheep. You've got antelope, giant panda, koalas, giraffe. Those guys don't live on the farm, obviously. Giraffes, zebra, even things like gorilla, hippos and rhinos are all examples of mammal herbivores. Right, we are going to move on now to our invertebrates and learn a bit about invertebrate mammals. And these guys here are thorny stick insects. Oh, let me see if you can see them. I've got my cameraman back, you may have noticed. So here we have Lady Stickington, and here we have Lord Stickington. I have a colony of about 10 of these guys, and I've just moved them into a small tank for you to have a better look. So the bigger one down here on the ground here is the female. She's bigger. Oh, let's see if we can get a close up. And the males are smaller. And these guys live up in the rainforest of Sabah in Borneo, and they live in the trees in an area we call the understory, which is the bit between the top of the trees, the canopy, and the floor. And they would sit there on the trees eating the leaves. They only eat leaves. In fact, if you have them as a pet, you can only feed them bramble, ivy or oak. It's quite limited what you can actually give them to eat. And you do find that with some herbivores. Some herbivores only eat a small amount of food. In fact, there's some that eat even less than these go. Things like pandas really only mainly eat bamboo. Koalas mainly only eat eucalyptus. So it's quite narrow, the choice of food that they can eat. So you can see examples of herbivore invertebrates in your garden. Bees, for instance, only eat pollen. Millipedes and grasshoppers are also herbivores. Because these thorny stick insects live in the trees and eat the leaves, there's something what we call a substance feeder, because they're eating the plant they're living on, or the tree they're living on. Right, we're going to move on from invertebrates to reptiles. And over here, we have the lovely Bolt, the horse-filled tortoise, who you may have met before. I'm going to try and avoid stepping over him because he's gone to the toilet in the corner. Here he is, chomping down on his food. Now, unlike the mammals, Bolt doesn't have teeth. He has a beak, can you see? And he uses his feet to hold the food, and he uses the sharp beak to pull it off. And because he doesn't have teeth, what he does is use his tongue to push the food right to the back of his mouth so he can swallow it. Now, Bolt here likes lots of green leafy food. He also likes lots of weed. He's got some dandelion leaves there as well. He eats a nice variety of food. He does love to eat fruits like strawberries. He's eating pepper at the moment, but they're more of a treat because they're quite sugary. They're not the best thing for him. So they're a treat that he might have every week. So Bolt is called Bolt not because he's really fast, because he's not. He's a tortoise, he's very slow. He's called Bolt because he's got a bit of a sad story. He was actually found in a park 2 years ago with his shell smashed. And the people that found him took him to South Angle Farm Park, which is our head office. And a very, very clever vet managed to save his life and bolt his shell back together. If I move him round, you'll be able to see his holding his shell together. You'll see he's missing a little bit of shell at the bottom. That's called the frill. That's like the end of your fingernail. That doesn't hurt him not having that or bother him. But these here would have been cracked in the shell. This part's fused to his body and it would have been like a big open wound. So without these bolts he would have been very poorly. So luckily the vet managed to save him and he's come to live with me ever since. We did try to find his owners but no one came forward. But it doesn't let him bother him. He saunters around most of the time like he owns the place, don't you, Bolt? Should we have a look at him eating again? Oh, here we go. There you go, Bolt. He can put, if he wanted to, if he was scared, he can put all his legs and his head in that shell to hide. So other examples of herbivore reptiles include iguanas, and you can get green sea turtles that also are herbivores. Unlike tortoises, where most tortoises are herbivores, it's kind of the opposite for turtles. Turtles are the ones that live in the sea and swim. And most turtles are actually either omnivores or carnivores, which you're going to learn about tomorrow and Thursday. And it's really just the green sea turtle that's a herbivore. Right, before we go, let's have another look at our lovely munching guinea pigs, because they are still quite happily munching away over there, and I'm sure they want to say goodbye to everybody. That's goodbye from Ethel, goodbye from Ada, and at the back there, goodbye from Iris, and goodbye from Bolt and our stick insects too. And we will see you tomorrow for a carnivore session.